Touchdown, Notre Dame! That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks, to a Notre Dame is at the 1/3 point of the season already. We have a huge season-defining game coming up against Louisville that we need to break down, edition of the Always Irish Show. So thank you for being here, everybody. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. You know that. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Johnny out as well. Notifications on, all that stuff. Twitter, you know where to find me. Just type in Always Irish. You'll find it. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it. You can get it. You don't want to see my face. Nobody blames you for that, especially if you had to see it last Saturday at the game too. Go with the audio only. Nobody blames you for that. Call-in lines, they've been popping all year, and I appreciate it. 312-900-8815. You guys have a lot. You guys have a lot to say this year. It's a beautiful thing. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. You're enjoying the film breakdowns, the All 22 with Coach Jared Clark, Mike Goolsby over there. We're having a good time. The live streams on a Monday night are going well. Everybody, we appreciate you being there. Check it out. And, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Notre Dame Fighting Irish Football, brought to you by Sports Illustrated. Every day there's a lot of material for you. We got articles all over the place covering everything. And why don't we just go ahead and bring in the managing editor of that beautiful website, Nick Shepkowski. What's going on, buddy?
Johnny boy, glad to know you survived the weekend.
Nick, I'm getting a little old to be hanging out this way on a Friday and a Saturday. I'm getting a little old to pull off the double nighter or two in a row, man. I'm telling you, it took a day to recoup.
Yeah, the back-to-backs, they don't work anymore. It doesn't. It's one day of fun, and it's like 3 days of recovery. I can't imagine what back-to-backs would do at this point in my life. So yeah. I'm glad that your 48, 72-hour rest has commenced. That's necessary, and that you're back in action.
I'm telling you, man, it was fun, though. It just all these people. It's great to be amongst people that all live and breathe and die the same thing you do, and you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. Everybody there all weekend. Everybody feels the same way about everything, and it's just beautiful to be with family and friends like that. So we had a great time. Tailgate well attended. Everybody in good spirits. I mean, it was toasty out there, Nick. It was hot Saturday. I mean, and no wind. No clouds, just sun all day. It was hot in South Bend, and the cold beer went down quick. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the nephews were at the game with my sister and my brother-in-law. They're gonna swing by the tailgate, but they got passes to go on the field before the game. So you didn't get the little Shepkowski clan out there that would have just made things that much more interesting for you guys. But no, it was hot enough here in the burbs. That is 92 degrees or whatever it is in South Bend. That's no joke, where that sun's beating down on you all day. Yeah. Hopefully you had some Gatorade. Hopefully you had some waters to mix in with the Miller Lights and whichever else were being passed around the North Lot.
It's funny, Nick, because I do 2 of these tailgates a year, one for blue and gold and then one for a game. And this one was like 98 degrees of scorching heat. And then the blue and gold one is 28 degrees of sideways wind and frozen rain. Like there's no in between. It's one or the other. And it's like, here we go, man. One extreme. Welcome to Indiana weather, I guess.
Yeah. Welcome to Northern Indiana. It's piss and rain sideways on you and whatever else in April. And then you get the late summer heat. I mean, I like that the weather's finally changing here. I like that it's cooling down. I just know that I'm going to be sick here in a couple of days because that's what always happens. But that's all right.
Little sinus adjustment there. So, Nick, here's the way I look at this, man. It's kind of wild. You know how this goes. All summer, all off season. When's the season come? Can't wait for the season. You're checking off the weeks of the calendar. When are we going to get to football? Blah, blah, blah. Nothing's happening. All of our baseball teams are bad. Like there's nothing going on all summer. You get into the season, I feel like we blink, and now a third of the calendar's gone. You played 4 games already, and the season's just going by so quickly. So we got a third of the season in the books here. What do you make of what we've seen of Notre Dame overall in this first month? I feel like that's a tough question to ask someone. To be honest, that's why I'm asking you. What do you make of this team after 4 weeks?
I mean, it's up and down, roller coaster. It shouldn't. You just gave yourself no leeway whatsoever with with who you lost to. You knew that it was going to be. How many times did we say all summer leading up? Just get through Texas A&M, and you have a couple of weeks to get right for that Louisville game.
Yep.
And you get through Texas A&M, and then you go and lay the goldenest of golden eggs against Northern Illinois, and you have no leeway. So now you have a 10-game season after the Northern Illinois game where it's your win or you're out. That's all it is. This team at 10-2, I mean, we don't know how exactly things are going to go in the SEC, how they're going to go in the Big Ten, but there's no way, shape, or form that you can look at it right now and you have any confidence whatsoever this team gets into the college football playoff at 10-2. You are in a must-win basis every Saturday. And after the Northern Illinois game, Notre Dame came out, they answered the bell, they beat Purdue up and down the field for 60 minutes in a butt kicking that you don't normally see Notre Dame put on someone. And then they come out against Miami of Ohio, and it's like sleepwalk, turnover, special teams miscue, penalties. Riley Leonard looking awful early on in that game. And then, okay, kind of slow the game down there late in the first half, make a couple of throws, things get back in line. The defense plays pretty well all day. And it's like, all right, weather that storm. But man, it is going to be like that. If that was a painful experience, I buckle up. That's nothing compared to what this Saturday is going to be. And if you get through that Saturday, then you got 7 more of these things left.
I'm right there with you. I've been thinking about that 10-2 playoff Notre Dame concept. Some years, I believe 10-2 would be good enough. Some years, not all years. But I don't think one of the two could be Northern Illinois this year. I just don't think that is in the cards. When I look at around the country at all these teams and the wins and losses they're going to have, I really just don't see that for Notre Dame this year. And so what that did is that Northern Illinois game took a lot of the wind out of the sails. And I think you could feel that amongst the media contingent. I think you could feel it with the fan base. It really did. It's weighing down everything else. And anything on the high end that you could think of with this team gets weighed back down by the realization they could play that bad. At any given time, they could play that bad and just not show up. And it's putting everyone in this position where they're not sure what the reality level of this all is and what you could trust and or not trust. Everything kind of feels out of balance right now. When you talk about like those slow starts at home or whatever, Notre Dame grad and football historian Jack Sacco reached out to me and he said, John, why does it feel like this team looks like they're inconvenienced by having to play football at home in front of their home crowd? Like, why does it feel like it's such a struggle to get them to just play real football? Nick, something just feels off. Everything isn't clicking. Everything isn't flowing. There's like a little chink something's in the engine that's clicking. Like, I just feel like something's off. Do you feel that? It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I try to, because when you watch a game on Saturday, you watch it fully emotionally, right? Like as much as I want to sit there and be able to break.
I don't do that. Maybe you do that, but I don't do that. I'm more of an analytical guy. I don't let the emotions get to me, Nick.
So it's always hard to kind of go through like the first part of watching a game live of the emotion of it and why do you do this? Why do you do that? And then you know the outcome and you kind of watch it back and like, okay, well, all right, maybe this wasn't as bad as I thought it was, or maybe this wasn't as great as I thought it was. Maybe it was a little more in the middle than these highs and lows that I let my emotions get the best of me while watching a game are. But kind of doing that with this Miami game, I mean, I think Jack's comment is right. Like, it did look like this team was inconvenienced. Like, special teams missed another block kick. Penalties. The penalties early are just, they're drive killers, man. Like, you want to blame Riley Leonard for things. Okay, yeah. The pass where he's rolling to his right, going to the south end zone. I forget at what point it was. He just short arms the thing, throws an absolute duck that lands 3 yards short and behind. It's like, what in the world? I don't know. I know the quarterback gets most of the blame, but it goes on so much of this. Like, it's the offensive line. You can tell it's challenged. It's very young. It's inexperienced. Some of that dominance you saw against Purdue, I think you saw some back to reality type of things with what you're working with right now at that position. Defense played pretty well overall. It's hard to get too angry about them. Defensive line, though, it feels like it's hit or miss. Like, it feels like some of your upperclassmen that are supposed to be, preseason freaks list and things, they're struggling. They're not necessarily playing well, and you got away with it against Miami of Ohio. It needs to be a more consistent effort because Louisville is going to bring a great defensive line. They're going to bring a very skilled team, and it's a team that ran all over you last year. And a great head coach. Like, Braum is a great head coach. He's done it at Purdue. He's done it now in 2 years in Louisville. Like, what else do you have to see before you kind of anoint the guy as being like, he's really good? Maybe he doesn't play at one of these blue blood programs, but he is a really good stinking head coach that turns things around, turns them around fast. I have no doubt that Louisville's going to be ready to go. I hope Notre Dame's ready to go. I don't know they're going to be ready to go on Saturday.
How could you? How could anybody?
What do you get from this team? So far at home, you've gotten a big nothing burger. You were able to outskill Miami, Ohio. You weren't able to do that against Northern Illinois. I don't know what's going to show up Saturday, and it's a really weird place to be.
Nick, what do you think causes that? Like, we look at it as like, okay, like you're covering the team for the media or you're a fan. You get 12 of these a year. What a big deal it is. You wait the whole year for these weekends and you got and the idea that you would be a top 5 undefeated team in the country coming off a huge road win and then appear uninterested in playing in front of your home crowd back for the first time of the whole year. What causes that? Is it leadership, preparation, messaging? Are you not doing something during the week that gets the message? What causes that is I don't have the answer to.
Well, I thought Chuck Martin, Miami head coach, I thought he had a great he had his opening statement after the game on Saturday. So he wasn't even asked about this, but he talked about how Miami, Ohio had their chance. They were up 3-0. They should have been able to finish another drive, go up by 10, and make it a 2-score game. That was their chance. Once they didn't do that, he knew they were in trouble. And then he kind of went in without being asked about Notre Dame's slow start. And he's like, and then we had them where they were sleepwalking. He used the term sleepwalking and went in on that a little bit of saying, and that's expected. That's Notre Dame. They're playing guys that you look at them, they're recruited by the top programs nationally. They're not recruited by Miami of Ohio. They're not recruited by MAC schools. But I understand where he's coming from, and he's a guy that offers a perspective that, okay, you coach Miami of Ohio now. You spent 4 or 5 years in South Bend as an assistant, and you get that. Like, there's the natural letdown. I just have a hard time letting that go of, yeah, you don't go to Notre Dame for the games against Northern Illinois and Miami of Ohio. You go for Saturday night in the last weekend of August against Texas A&M. You go for what Florida State's supposed to be in early November. You go to close the year at USC with college football playoff implications on the line. You go for the big marquee matchup. But your first home showing after a loss against Northern Illinois, and you come out with that of this lack of energy, like, it's a damning spot because it's like, okay, you had the high of Purdue. It's another MAC school. You have your season-defining game next week against Louisville. I get it, but I also don't get it because it felt like there was no urgency.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. It's frustrating as a fan, and it's really frustrating trying to cover it as a media member because you want to write these articles, and there's usually like these things and these narratives that are somewhat consistent. You could lean on. I just don't feel like anybody has a good feel of what they're going to get week to week, and it makes it really, really hard to cover the team because you're never sure what level you're going to be relying on, and that is so dangerous. Nick, I want to throw this at you and see if you agree with me, and maybe you don't, and we could talk about maybe where we differ on it. I personally feel like I can see Marcus Freeman feeling some of this heat and pressure. I just look at the guy, and after Northern Illinois, everything since that moment, I could tell he's feeling the pressure. Those press conferences, I feel that pressure in that room building. A lot of people have even mentioned they feel like those pressers are getting a little more condensed, kind of get in and out a little bit, get in and move it along. I feel like he's feeling that pressure, and he looks a little stressed out. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I think
Yeah.
he looks stressed. I think understandably is stressed. And it's not, this goes very much into the optics of it, and the optics, and they can be deceiving at times. I want to put that out there in the front. But the optics of it, and it's not like it's just one thing or another. There's seemingly a flow to this. The optics aren't good. Like we've been the guy, the stats guy from Pro Football Focus that gets hired away and goes and is in Marcus Freeman's ear of, oh, decline this penalty, do that. Okay, that's great to have, but it's like I want a coach that has that kind of feel for himself of, all right, the numbers say do this, but I don't, I trust my defense or I don't trust my defense. So I don't need you to tell me. I know that, all right, we're probably not going to stop Northern Illinois on a 4th and 2 because we haven't stopped Northern Illinois on a 3rd or 4th and short all day. So I'm going to try to make them go 3rd and 12 instead. I don't need someone that's going to look and have to be told by an analytical guy. And it feels like looking at it that the leader doesn't have that confidence. Like where's the guy that walked out of the tunnel at Texas A&M, looked like he was ready to throw on shoulder pads and a helmet and go run into someone for 60 minutes? What happened to that guy? Because it doesn't seem like since the end of that Texas A&M game, like that guy is nowhere to be found. He wasn't there against Northern Illinois. And I mean, each time before the game, it's like one of the things before the game he was asked in that pregame interview that they do that are usually a throwaway. Usually you get a head coach on there and it's like, oh yeah, sun's shining and it's a great day to play football and we're excited. And this one, he's sitting there saying, well, if they're not going to let us do this, we're going to take that out of the playbook and not. You're Notre Dame against Miami of Ohio. Go do what the hell you want to do. You have the better athletes. You have the bigger offensive line. You have the better talent. Go force your will on another team for 60 minutes. Go do that. Don't worry about what they're doing. Go beat their butt. And it was like, oh, we're really scared what they might do with this. We got to adjust and do all. No, go establish something. Like it just seems, listening to that before the game, it was like, it feels like that Marcus Freeman that came out of the tunnel against Texas A&M, that might as well have been 3 decades ago, was the feel that I got from it, from that response from him to just a softball of a pregame question.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. And the reality of this is when you do what you did against Northern Illinois, everybody's going to analyze and judge every little thing you say differently because that's just what happens when you do what you did against Northern Illinois. Then everybody's watching every one of your pressers. And if you say one thing they don't like, they're all jumping on it. It's everything you do gets magnified because that's just how this goes. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's how this goes. And I feel the whole operation feels that heat. With that A&M, we love that tunnel thing and Freeman getting fired up. We all know Northern Illinois at home doesn't offer the same feel as that A&M moment. Everybody knows that. And you can't manufacture a field that isn't naturally there. But you could take that same intensity and channel it a little differently to still motivate your guys against Northern Illinois. And we just didn't get that. And it was just as if you roll the ball out there and you're Notre Dame and things are just going to happen. And you realize that that's not the real world. And by the way, it doesn't help that Northern Illinois lost to Buffalo, which is the most predictable thing of all time. Play your Super Bowl in South Bend, and then they sleepwalk out. It is the most predictable thing of all time. So Nick, it just ruined a lot of the feel. And now the pressure's on. Because like you said, man, you cannot lose again. And the pressure's on. Every week's a playoff week now. And it's a tough spot to be. So, Nick, the defense you mentioned, 9.75 points a game they're giving up. And that is like 2012. It kind of reminds me of 2012, Nick. Defense giving up under 10 points a game. Offense, you're just praying you get enough to win week to week. They tag teamed quarterbacks, one guy in and out. Did just enough on the strength of that good defense to get by. And they actually ran it undefeated. So the defense, I'm with you on that D-line. Every once in a while, they get a little loose on the run that I don't like. Love them to tighten that up a little bit. But overall, the defense is giving you what you should be able to win with. When you flip it to offense, you want to talk about having no idea what Notre Dame team's going to show up, man. Sometimes it's so frustrating watching this offense. What do you feel like you're seeing out there, man?
Well, I mean, I don't know who's the biggest playmaker on this team. I know we like the highlights of Riley Leonard running the ball. It's Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
And
he's the best player out there on the field, usually on both teams. He's the best player.
I mean, through 4 games so far this year, there hasn't been a better one on an opposing defense.
Nope, it's him.
It was a difference maker against A&M. He caps off that for the touchdown. Like, I don't understand the touches for Jeremiah Love. What, are you saving him for the end of the year? Did you go into this year? Because he is a guy, if I remember right, had some injuries in high school, if I remember. Like, did you go in with this notion of, well, we can only do so much? No. Like, my big thing is you got to get the ball to the hands of the playmaker. And you look at his numbers in terms of what he's gotten touch-wise, and it's like you got to get the ball in his hands more. Like, it goes back to, and it's not on that level, but like when USC and Texas played in that Rose Bowl, and last play, USC's going for it on a 4th down to wrap up the game before the Vince Young magic happens again, and they don't even have Reggie Bush on the field. It's like, I don't care if you give him the ball, at least decoy to him or something. Like, you have the Heisman Trophy winner, one of the most electric players in college football history. Like, how does Pete Carroll not have him on the field there? And that's the thing with Love. It's like, that is your playmaker. You struggle to get the ball elsewhere. You struggle to get the ball to the outside. You struggle to throw the ball downfield. So get the ball in the hands, get creative, get it to Love, like however you can.
Yep.
And do that. And you're looking, it's like, I don't have the touch totals in front of me, but it's like you got to get him the ball more. So that's what's frustrating to me. I know you're playing behind an offensive line that was already young going into the year. Now it's young and beat up, and you're playing with reserves of that.
By the way, Nick, that offensive line is going to be really, really tough and good, but it's like 2 years out. That line and these young guys and some of the injured guys, this line is going to be really, really tough and fantastic. But it's 2.5, 3 damn years down the road that it's going to be. Like, I just want to throw that out there. They have some really good young talent, but it's a couple years out on that.
Yeah, you got to develop it. Like, it's not guys that are playing like when Blake Fisher was starting a left tackle against Florida State as a freshman. Blake Fisher started that game because it's like he came in and you're like, oh, wow, as good as advertised. This is going to be something. He unfortunately got injured in that game and missed that regular season, came back for the bowl game, but turned into a 2nd-round draft pick. Sam Young, when he started against Georgia Tech in 2006, and granted, Charlie Weiss had a lot of great things going on offense. Offensive line wasn't always a calling card under Charlie Weiss. But Sam Young came in as a 5-star recruit, impressed from the day he got here. And that was really before you saw a lot of this early enrollee type of thing. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, he's going to start a left tackle against Georgia Tech as a true freshman. And it's like those were done because the talent was there of like this guy can start at a Division I level. You're looking at it this year, and this is out of necessity. Like this is straight out of, well, we need bodies. Anthony Knapp is not on the level of a Fisher. Like he played well against Texas A&M, I thought, but that's kind of been a troublesome spot on this line against what should have been lesser opponents. And then you look across the board and like Ashton Craig's injury moves Pat Coogan to center. You're seeing why Rocco Spindler was, not a guy that nearly necessarily turned a lot of heads in an overly impressive way last year. And you're seeing that kind of rearing its head again this year since he's been forced into action. And it's just, it should be good with the more experience and the more development that you get with these guys, but it's going to be a bit. And this is kind of, like you've mentioned here a couple of times, we're a third of the way through the season now. In this offense where you're like, all right, well, it's going to click and all of it's going to, we're kind of getting close to that point where it kind of is what it is. Like it, hate it, whatever. It's kind of getting to that point where we're nearing the halfway point of this year. And it's what your offense is. And it's not what you want it to be, but reality tells you another story. And so that's where I kind of look at what this thing is like. All right, love it or hate it, you're going to have to learn to deal with it if you're a Notre Dame fan.
I'm going to tell you a little bit of an awkward moment for me Saturday. I don't get to a lot of Notre Dame games anymore because of the content we do. And, you have an obligation to do that. I do my one a year. Nick, it didn't take 5 minutes and the home crowd was booing Notre Dame's quarterback. The home crowd was audibly booing and yelling, and the first couple of those easy little passes that were missed, and there was boo birds raining down. What do you make of the up and down nature of Riley Leonard coming in here to Notre Dame? I know Goolsby was the one telling me, John, people want this to just take off, and they're not accounting for all the time he lost and the recovery from spring, and then you add in the injuries and learning a new system with Denbrock, and it could take a while to get going. What do you make of this project and experiment with Riley Leonard and where it's at?
I mean, he's your quarterback for this year. I know our guy Mason Plummer is all about getting CJ Carr reps and getting the future built at quarterback. It's nice to wish for that and hope for brighter things at the quarterback position in the years to come, but it's barring injury, nothing's changing here. This is your starting quarterback, for better, for worse.
No, wait. Okay, no, wait. I got a question about that. This came up on the morning show yesterday, a big debate, and people were arguing over it, Nick. If Notre Dame loses another game or two and is clearly out of contention for anything we want, does that change that calculation to where Freeman would be like, now we're not reaching our goals. Now we have an obligation to look to the future, which would be a developmental situation, not a one and done guy that we're running in the rest of the year, but there's no development because he's leaving. Does that spark a change towards development when you're out of the hunt? Or does it go the other way where Freeman feels even more pressure to get any wins he can to lower his own heat? And he could go, Riley Leonard still gives us the best chance to win, even though we're 2 or 3 losses and not going to the playoff. People are debating which way that goes because I think the fan base would prefer you go the developmental route if you're out of the hunt. But I could see Freeman doubling down. What do you make of that?
I mean, I look at it and it is a little bit different in this NIL era, this transfer portal era. But what I've always liked about college sports is that, it's like the college sports, the amateurism, all of that. But what I've always liked is like there's no reward for tanking. There's no reward for that part of it of like, okay, well, it's all about development now. Like I look at it, if you're going to do that, then your expectations aren't just make the college football playoff a year from now or 2 years from now. Your expectations are, all right, you're going to toss away years. You're going to toss away parts of years in order for this. Then you damn well better be playing in the national championship game or in the Final Four. And you better be doing it with regularity if that's what it's going to cost. Like,
yeah,
you're there to win games. You're there to win games against the mediocre teams on your opponent that show up on your schedule by a wide number. And that happened against Purdue. That happened against Miami the way it turned out. Didn't happen against Northern Illinois. Hasn't had a track record of happening here. You got to get this thing stable and able to win the games you're supposed to win. I look at it and in my mind goes to the development part. You put that in with practice. You put that in with whatever you have to do. But your job is you only get 12 of these things a year. How many times do we hear that? You only get 12 of them. And your job is to do whatever puts you in the best position to win as many of those 12 games as possible.
Let me ask you this. And I think I maybe know the answer, but maybe I'm incorrect. I don't want to assume anything. After this season, no matter how it goes the rest of the way, and I have a couple interesting points on Louisville to get to yet. Are you hoping Notre Dame gets away from the transfer portal, one and done upperclassmen quarterbacks on rentals? Have you seen enough of that? Like, do you hope Notre Dame really doubles down on their own room and starts to lean in and develop their own guys and build some camaraderie over the years with an in-house guy? And then we could debate on who it might be. But are you ready for them to get away from those rentals?
Well, like, even why does it have to be a guy that's only 1 year? Because I look at locally for us, look what's going on at the University of Illinois right now. They're 4-0, just had a huge win last Friday night at Nebraska.
Yep.
And their quarterback is a transfer. Luke Altmaier just took home Big Ten Player of the Week honors. And what is it about him? Okay, last year he didn't have necessarily a great year. It's his second year in a system. It's not this rental idea. You go and you get him for 2 years. Why does it have to be this, all right, who was the best ACC quarterback that's not good enough to go to the NFL?
Yeah, come on down.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on you get to take snaps at Notre Dame Stadium. Great, cool. But why is it not an option to go and get someone that's, I get that the transferring into Notre Dame part is hard.
There's an answer to that. You know the answer that you're asking a question you know the answer to. They're going to say, well, all those transfer credits don't all
then develop someone. Develop someone is my answer. It's been, okay, Brian Kelly didn't develop quarterbacks since Deshaun Kaiser. Okay. Like Ian Book was, he had some great parts. He had some parts that were, that held him back. Then develop someone. Because I'd sure as hell rather have Ian Book right now that's a third year in a system than just the guy we're still going through spring ball with because you went and got the injured quarterback out of the portal that was out for 3/4 of spring. Yeah. Then develop someone. Yes, my answer is I want to see someone develop. I want to see someone developed and start at quarterback position for 2, maybe 3 years even. What a treat that would be.
Yep. And I just think I just think there's a stability that comes with doing that fits Notre Dame well. And I just think people are ready for it. Also, I don't necessarily love the messaging it sends the rest of those in-house quarterbacks that every time they think it's just about their turn to go up a notch, another guy is the chosen one that comes in and gets plopped right in front of them, gets all the headline, all the money, all the attention. And I don't necessarily love that messaging to all those other guys in the room that have been there and been Notre Dame guys that they keep getting jumped. So I think I'm ready for that. Pick a young guy, have a competition next year, do whatever you want to do. And let's get back into that. When we turn the page to Louisville this week, Nick, Notre Dame needs this game for their playoff hope, dreams, lives. Like, there's no way around it. You absolutely need to win this football game. To me, it's a weird buildup. Day game on Peacock, not even on NBC. Day game only on Peacock against Louisville. Maybe the green jerseys. I don't know. I saw a debate. They were going to ask the players whether they wanted to wear green or whatever. I don't know, dude. all of this, like, and you're doing a TV show, all the extra stuff I don't care about anymore. Be better at the stuff that matters the most to me. And it isn't all that other fluff. I'm getting annoyed with all the fluff. Be better at the stuff that matters. All of this anxiety, you don't know how Notre Dame's going to play at home. You have no idea what the offense is going to do or not do, or if they're going to be interested or whatever. Through all that, before I come on with you, it looks like Notre Dame's a 6.5-point favorite. I don't know what we're going to get, Nick. I have no idea. I spend every waking moment of my life thinking about Notre Dame football. I have no idea what we're going to get at all. No concept. I have no idea. No idea.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Like I said, like it's weird. Towards the end of the Miami of Ohio game, it's like, okay, defense stepped up, offense improved. It was better the second half.
Do you feel like the Leonard in the offense, do you feel a little bit? There are people that go, if you watch that game, there was actually a big jump in production later in the game, and the passing game did get, you could lean on that as a little bit of a hope ramp that it did kind of, we threw the ball downfield, hit a couple, got some penalties, like just loosening things up a little bit. It did get a little better. You could lean on that. But, man, I still have no idea what I'm going to get.
I don't know. Like I don't know what to expect. Like I hope the game plan is to get the ball to your playmakers' hands and get Jeremiah Love involved. Because, I mean, you saw it early in the Purdue game. He breaks the one on the opening drive. Took a while to get going against Texas A&M, but ultimately he breaks a big run there. Heck, the loss against Northern Illinois, he goes and makes the long touchdown run to give the Irish the lead, and then he only gets, one touch the rest of the game from there. That's my key to this offensively. That's what I want to see. Whatever you have to do, if you have to get creative and throw to him out of the backfield like we haven't seen a whole lot of, then let's go ahead and do it. Like, come on. But it is a weird spot because you're going into the 5th game of the year. You think it's the biggest home game of the year, and it's this, here's this Irish wear green thing. Well, here's my thing with this, John, and I know this isn't the question that you asked, but it goes along with, like, your fluff comments there. So Notre Dame's having this green out, right? Irish wear green, everybody wear green. But then they go and they sell the shirt, which started off as a cool tradition. The shirt's bright gold. So, okay, you got your green, you got your gold. You look like Colorado State all of a sudden in the stadium.
It's not even gold. It's not even gold. It looks like a sidewalk. It's not even gold. It literally looks like the color of a sidewalk, Nick. I saw those shirts in the parking lot all day. It's not even gold or yellow. It's like off urine. I don't like it, bro.
It looks goldish to me on TV. Is it more gray?
Dude, it's an in-between color of nothing. It's a very awkward color of nothing. It's very weird. I don't know, man.
But it's like, and people aren't going to like this.
Oh, good.
But we're the freaking knockoff version of what's special in college football. Okay, go be a green out. Why? Because Penn State has an awesome whiteout tradition that's one of the coolest traditions in all of the sport. And they do it, and they do it right, and they're not playing that stupid-ass song from Six Flags. Yes, we can talk about the football part. Yeah, you want to create yeah, exactly. You had the Six Flags guy with his dumbass glasses jumping around and do it. That's an intimidating feel. No, like that's not whatsoever. We want to do this. Wear the green jersey. The green jerseys used to mean something. It used to be, okay, USC's in town. You're playing for a national championship, and you need just a little bit of an extra an extra spark of something. And now it's, the captains are going to decide if we're going to wear our green jerseys for Louisville, a middle-ranked 15th-ish ranked Louisville team. That's what you're getting this up for. Oh, my goodness. It just feels like it's like, like Notre Dame tries to get with the college football modern day feel right now. And it feels like you're walking into Walmart and you're buying the off-brand shoes that are disguised to look like Nikes or something. Yep. Well, here's our half-ass attempt at a green out. Here's our special jerseys to try to be like Oregon and try to be cool like that for a week. It just feels so half-efforted. And like, I don't know. I'm the old guy yelling at the cloud with this. I get it, but it just feels like it's so forced on so many levels, and it's frustrating. Like
Yes, it is.
it feels so much of this right now.
It is.
It's just so forced, and I don't know. It feels like it's the old dog trying to still kind of fit in with the young crowd, and I had higher hopes for it at this point than what we've seen.
I'm with you. Uncomfortable. Everything just feels a little bit uncomfortable. Like it doesn't quite fit. It's just a little uncomfortable. Like there's this uneasy, uncomfortable feeling I have a little bit. And my big thing with the green is I always used to think of the green as the concept of the green wasn't, we're going to let you know we're doing this in the summer so we can sell as many green jerseys as we can and get them spread out all over. The idea used to be no one knows it. And when the guys go in the locker room and the green is there, it energizes them to another level. And then when they run out and the crowd sees it, it energizes them to another level because of the surprise nature of the injection of that emotion. Not a promo like where, we got to sell 1 million of these green jerseys. We're going to put, like, we're losing the point.
It's been lost. I mean, like, look back at 2007 when it was the 30th anniversary of the green jersey game.
Yeah.
So they go and they, all preseason, you knew that they're going to play USC in the 77 throwbacks. And listen,
how'd that work out?
You ruined a heck of a job.
You ruined those jerseys.
They looked great. The problem was you got your ass 38-0 in that game.
Yeah, dude,
like, they didn't exactly serve as the motivational point or the inspirational point.
I love those jerseys too.
They look so good, but it doesn't look good when
the socks, the white socks with the rim, the color around. Oh, I loved everything about it other than what you did in them. It's just all of this is driving me nuts. And then, okay, so let me ask you this, Nick. Do you think we're going to get a Notre Dame team that's engaged and ready to play for this moment? Or are they going to wake up a quarter and a half and it's too late? That's the problem. If you wait a quarter and a half to engage in this game, you're in trouble. You don't have that lead this week. Do we see a Notre Dame team engaged and ready to play? Maybe they know it's a bigger moment, so they're up for it. Like, do you think we get that this week?
All right, let's go through this real fast here because we're gonna kind of do this on the fly together. Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame have had complete duds at home. Yep. Marshall, Stanford, his first year. This year against Northern Illinois. In terms of like the big games at home, what have been the big games at Notre Dame Stadium since Freeman took over? Clemson, his first year.
Clemson.
Was anything else on that? I'm scrolling through the list right now. Marshall, Cal, BYU was a Shamrock Series. Yep. Stanford, UNLV, at Syracuse.
That Clemson was it.
Number 4, Clemson versus Navy. That was in Baltimore. Boston College in the snow when Boston College was awful.
Yep.
So you have your one big game against Clemson, a night game. They showed up for, they kicked butt, blocked a couple of punts, and voila. All right. Second year. Home games, true home games in Notre Dame Stadium. Tennessee State, that doesn't qualify. Central Michigan, that doesn't qualify. Ohio State, if you counted 11 instead of the 10, you probably, very good chance you win that game. USC, who was ranked 10th at the time, you beat them around. Pittsburgh, that wasn't a huge game. Wake Forest wasn't a big game. This year, Northern Illinois and Miami of Ohio don't count as those. So it's kind of your first big home afternoon game at Notre Dame Stadium if you're Marcus Freeman. At least during his run. And so you don't have like the added environment of the night feel. You don't have the added environment of the tailgating.
And the light show and
Yeah. And the spooky Six Flags man coming out of the tunnel to wake up the echoes. But so far in big games though, in true home big games, Notre Dame has showed up for them. Yeah. So I have to put to lean on and feel good about like this gonna be, but also in home games under Marcus Freeman played during the day, that's where the duds have happened. Like, okay, the Stanford one was a night game, but Marshall was a day game. Just 2-3 weeks ago now, Northern Illinois was a day game. I don't know. I like to think that he has gotten this team ready to play in big games.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's fair.
This counts as being a big game. Now, does it? I don't know. I hope part of the reason that it was so sloppy to start last week was the look ahead factor for this, and I hope we see a big performance. I'm going to be optimistic about it. I'm frustrated watching this team because I thought they'd be at a different level than this by now.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to see that level that I thought that this team was capable of playing at.
I agree with you. That's exactly how I feel. And it's just a little frustrating. You're like, I'm just kind of realizing I just don't think they're ever going to be at the level we all wanted them to be this year. And that just kind of hurts. It stings.
Yeah, it's the reality of it. But even with it being the reality of it, if it's done right, you saw what Michigan was able to do with a better defense than USC, a more physical team. They were able to make enough plays without having to throw the ball. Every game on this schedule remains winnable. And if you can maneuver that map for the next 8 weeks, you still have a chance at the college football playoff, but it all starts on Saturday. It all starts with a Louisville team that brings in a very good defensive line, a team that punched you in the face last year, let's face it. Okay, give me all the excuses you want. Oh, a third primetime game in a row when team was exhausted, this, that, the other. Fine. All right, you shouldn't be exhausted a week after playing Miami of Ohio, playing a second straight home game, not playing in prime time. You should be ready to go. Yeah. You want to seek revenge? You want payback? Don't worry about what damn color jersey you're wearing. Go out there, whether you're wearing freaking blue and gold or purple and orange or whatever it is, and inflict some pain and do something and play like a team that was rated in the top 6, top 7 to start the year, instead of playing like a team that, welcomes everyone. Oh, it's such an honor for everyone to come to Notre Dame Stadium. No, go make a difference for a change. Go and impose your will on Louisville. Treat it like you kind of did the Clemson game in 2022. And
I love that.
Start it early.
Like yeah.
Make a big play. Make 2 big plays early. Make them play from behind. And don't let that, like it was against Miami of Ohio that you're saying, where the crowd was dead 5 minutes in. Go and do something so the crowd's not dead 5 minutes in. Go and make it so it's a lively environment, and it remains a lively environment for 3.5 hours.
I got to tell you, man, I was genuinely impressed with the energy level from the Notre Dame home crowd. I was interested, like, is it going to be lame because everybody's sad about and nervous about what happened last time we were home? That crowd was into it. Loud before the game, excited to be there. Like, I was genuinely, I leaned over to my brother. I said, I can't believe the energy right now, considering the position we're in. It was so loud. And then the game started and all the air was let out of the balloon because you just, like, we were ready, but you got to give us a reason to engage at that level. And when you just play bad football or look disinterested, there's nothing you could do. It's not a fan problem. And so I got 2 questions now this week, Nick. Is the team going to show up ready to play and fully engaged is one part of it. The second question is, even if they are, is that good enough to beat a good Louisville team with our offense? Even if they're ready to play, can you make enough plays to win that football game? And I'm not sure what we're going to get, Nick, but this is the year. You cannot have 2 losses before the calendar turns to October and tell me this is trending the right way. You can't do it. You can't do it, Nick. It's not even going to be October. You cannot be in year 3 of this and have 2 losses on the ledger before October. You can't have it, man. It can't be. And if it is, it's going to be a problem.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. All right, maybe this is tying it all together in way too big of a way. Who did Notre Dame play last week? Miami of Ohio. Who did Notre Dame get from Miami of Ohio? Who was, groomed at Miami of Ohio before he went to Northwestern? Eric Parsegian. Eric Parsegian got the Notre Dame job because while at Northwestern, he never lost to Notre Dame. Okay. And then fast forward to now. Okay, Miami of Ohio was in the picture last week. Who's Notre Dame play this week? Oh, Louisville. Who's their head coach? Oh, Jeff Brom. What did Jeff Brom do? He beat Notre Dame's ass last year. What it is it's a big-time measuring stick moment for me right now. If this program is growing, if this program is developing like we're told it is, the talent's this, getting guys that weren't going to Notre Dame previously, okay, great. You're in year 3 here. They're in year 2 of their program overhaul there. You can't be losing to this program, a Midwest program with a relatively new head coach as well. Actually, a head coach that's been there a less amount of time. He can't come in and beat you a second year in a row.
Yep.
This isn't just a must-win for 2024 and saving the college football playoff hopes. This is a must-win for really the feel of this program headed in a right direction. You lose this game, that's out the window. You're seeing then a prime example of a Midwest program that, is turning it around, and you're in deep doo-doo.
Even your dog agrees.
I know. He's frustrated too.
and you know what? Jay, Brom's a good coach. You know what I think about Brom? I think of him similarly that the way I view Whittingham out of Utah. Like a program where the helmet works hard and gets more out of his group than the total of the talent every single year in a non-traditional brand name program. I respect the guy a ton. He's really, really good. And this Louisville team plays Notre Dame tough. And Notre Dame's going to have to be ready for this, Nick. So I don't know what we're going to get out of this. Do you have anything else you want to hit before we get out of here? The one more thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you make of this Mickey news with the red shirt and then looking to transfer out? Do you think this is just as simple as he sees he's getting passed on the depth chart by some younger guys and they're just more athletic and longer and he knows it and he just doesn't want to waste his own time? I just think it might be that simple on this one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's wasting his own time, but I think that's exactly what it is. To answer your question about this game, I went into our conversation here today kind of feeling I don't know what to expect. I still don't know what to expect. I'm going to give Marcus Freeman the benefit of the doubt here for this one, but please don't make me look like a fool. Please don't make me look like a fool. In terms of Mickey, I think it's modern college football now. It's the transfer portals available to people. He sees that, Christian Gray's coming, and my shot to fly up the depth chart and be a starter for a couple of years isn't as clear as it used to be, and that's what happens when you recruit like a big boy program. I think that's a positive sign for this program. As much as it stinks to maybe lose his talents, it's a positive to have the talent you have coming in, especially in the secondary. That hasn't been the case for a very long time. I think it speaks to a strength of the program right now. Yes. And I don't look at it as being like, oh, okay, this is this major issue. It's all right. Well, continue to do what you're doing at that position. You're going to be just fine.
I'm with you. And it isn't even just Gray. It's even guys younger than that, like that are really, really physically gifted. So, yeah, it is a big picture positive, in a short-term depth hit for sure. So, Nick, this is going to be really, really interesting. Notre Dame has put itself in a position because of the Northern Illinois debacle to where each one of these games has an outsized magnitude now, and you put yourself in that pressure position. You got to deal with it. And you got to, if you could find a way to claw out a win here, get to the bye with just the one nightmare, get to the bye, be able to take a deep breath, recuperate a little bit, get healthier, maybe reconfigure some of what you're trying to do offensively and have a week in between to breathe and be off a couple weeks. That is the best Notre Dame can do now. So I need you to fight, scratch, and claw your way to beat this pain-in-the-ass Louisville team that's going to give you everything they have at home. This is going to be a lot of people are watching, and it's bigger than just a one-game result. People are looking this a lot bigger with the Freeman era and everything. This is going to be a big week at Notre Dame. Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, I think that it has big picture implications from this game of – It's big for 2024. Obviously, playoff hopes alive or dead based on what happens on Saturday. But also, I think it speaks to how much this program has necessarily grown or not grown. And you get to measure it against a program that is clearly growing and on the up and up under Brom at Louisville right here. I mean, they went and they embarrassed you on a national stage last year. Yep. What do you have? What's your response bringing them to your home turf this year? Yep. So everybody feels the magnitude of the moment, and Notre Dame put itself in this position under this heat, and now you got to deliver under difficult circumstances. There's no way around it. And whether it's a win or a loss, the reaction to this is going to be, it's going to be outsized and it's going to be magnified on the good or the bad, depending on how this goes. And so we're going to have to wait and see. Now, what I'm interested for, Nick, is in a couple days here, or maybe depending on when this goes live to the people, we got to all log our predictions here on Sports Illustrated. And I'm interested to see, none of us talk, none of us see what else the other people think. We write them on our own so nobody gets influenced. I want to see, does everybody pick Notre Dame? Is there anybody that's willing to go against the grain here and say, I don't feel it with this team, and at home, I can't wait to see where we all predict this to be and what that score range is going to look like. So everybody stay tuned for that. I can't wait. So Nick, thanks for being here, man. It's really good to touch base with you here. This is a key part of the year. And anything on the way out, thanks for being here.
No, thank you for the invite. I always enjoy doing it. It's just, I think this is despite the game being on Peacock and whatever you're going to get fed, it's huge. And I think that it has just that picture of, it's so much more than just 2024. This has ramifications of, is this program growing? Is it taking a step in the right direction? And you have a very good example of a team that's showing signs of that with Louisville coming in. What can you do? What's changed since last year? Go take care of business on your home field and show that this thing's steering in the right direction instead of suffering another program's big moment on your home field.
Yeah. It's crunch time for Notre Dame, time to deliver. You need this one. And, we'll see what's going to happen, and we'll be here to cover it all, you guys. So whether it's good or bad or whatever happens, we're going to have you covered. So make sure you stay tuned. And thanks for being here, everybody. Have a good one.